2, Scene 1, in Mrs. Hawkins' parlor. Mary and Nathaniel confer over tea. Mrs. Hawkins' teacup sits untouched as she slumps in a chair listening to a Victrola play music from La Ballerina.
So you believe this teacup isn't our man?
What he wanted, he needed her alive for. All that's happened disrupted his plans, and if he had done it, I doubt the visas would have been left behind, much less transferred away into that port.
He was back in his seat by 9:09 anyhow.
At least the stage manager, Kirill Chinovsky.
He confessed to setting the fire, but it was more to conceal his thefts than anything else. Bryson, he said, was dead when he found him. It sounds as if the company's in a great deal of trouble without him, so he needed her as much as Seacoast did.
And you don't think he tried to stop her leaving you? Things got out of hand.
He was in the wings for most of the act. The reports are sent confirm it. I don't know, he'd have had the time.
And there go our two best leads, the swing and the flying boat. We've got nothing else.
Not quite. There's the missing visa now. If Lord Seacoast gave them to Isa just minutes before she died, then what happened to Elena?
Elena doesn't have it, does she?
She seemed adamant against the idea of leaving, and she never mentioned it.
That means nothing.
The scene hadn't been disturbed until we arrived, so there wasn't a great window for someone to take it beyond the time of the murder.
And with only one of them gone. The visa might have been what they were really after. Madam, what do you think?
Mrs. Hawkins goes to the Victrola and shuts it off.
And the Saturday was on stage then.
I beg your pardon?
That was the beginning of the second act. By the time Chinovsky found the body, he was well into Hansati's feature. She had to have been dancing. It would have been noticed if she wasn't.
What of it?
How could Miss Zakharova have been backstage then for Chinovsky to see? And if she was back there, why didn't she say so?
He mistook someone else. Apparently they go to lengths to make all those girls look alike.
He looked her in the face. He seemed devastated.
What are you suggesting, madam?
There are too many inconsistencies regarding Miss Zakharova. Being in two places at once, the visa in her name. And how did she know that Miss Sergeyeva hadn't died in the fire with such absolute certainty?
You don't think Miss Zakharova had something to do with it?
She brought us the case. Does that make sense?
None of this makes sense. Which is why I want answers.
Mrs. Hawkins pulls on her stealthily.
Are you going out? Where?
To talk to Miss Zakharova.
Now? It's so late.
The better to catch her off guard. There's something missing from our picture of things, and I intend to find out what.
Oh, but madam. Very well. Good luck. I hope that's fine.
She's got her teeth in it. There's no dissuading her.
Nathaniel picks up Mrs. Hawkins' teacup to finish it.
By Jove, that's more brandy than otherwise. Isn't this obvious?
I think she's in pain. She's favouring that arm, you know. The one she ate in the night.
Well, I have to keep an eye on her to make certain she doesn't ruin herself for good. But I should be on my way home now. Clara's probably furious with me for the show I made at the party tonight.
Just a moment. I wanted to ask you something. Did you know that Mrs. Hawkins studied ballet when she was young? Apparently she once considered making a career out of it.
Oh, really? I had no idea. Was she any good then?
I don't know. But doesn't that surprise you?
I quite honestly believe there's nothing she couldn't do if she cared to. Why? Does it you?
Well, it's just that, well, Mrs. Hawkins doesn't open that things for her own sake, now does she?
She doesn't like much of anything.
Well, that's not what I mean. Everything's to a point with her. She owns her craft. She studies things and likes to be able to know them. To think of her dancing only for the love of it.
Goodness. I think I see what you mean.
I tried to ask about it. It did mean something to her once, but she wouldn't give it a moment.
Strange to think she wasn't always as she is now.
And if that's what it takes, to do the kind of work she does.
Well, if that's the case, then I haven't got it. I have a family, for heaven's sake, and a hobby or two I try to pursue.
She wants to make me just like her. What if I haven't got it either?
Oh, Mary, I'm sure you can do anything you want to. If you put your minds to it, you could become as honed and dedicated as she is.
No, Nathaniel, what if I don't want to?
Scene 2, at the home of Nathaniel and Clara. Nathaniel enters quietly, but Clara is there, waiting up for him.
Why, darling, are you still up?
I wanted to wait until you got home,
Oh, forgive me. I got caught up. The party and his lordship.
because this can't wait. I always considered myself so lucky. All of my friends, they're convinced their husbands keep things from them. Where they go, who they see, but not me, not my Nathaniel, not 9 years of marriage, and not in the years I knew before.
Clara, dear, what's this?
Couldn't I count on that, Nathaniel? That you and I could trust one another?
Darling, you're frightening me.
It doesn't feel like I thought it would feel. I could swear you were still here, still with me. But the performance you put on tonight...
I am here, love. Of course I'm still here with you.
Still, something's changed. You're away more than you used to be. Longer hours at the office, later nights, and more time than ever with Aunt Victoria.
You know what she means to
She
me.
can hardly bear the company of anyone. How could you possibly be spending so much more time?
We've begun to grow closer. She has need of me.
Excuses. Do you think I'm a fool and couldn't notice?
You're never a fool.
Justin thinks you're trysting with Auntie's maid.
He said that to you. Forgive me, but that bastard. My God, I could never, darling.
You thought you could never keep anything from me either.
It's nothing untoward, Clara. I swear it.
I never really thought it was, Nathaniel. But there is something.
I'm afraid you wouldn't understand. It's going to sound mad.
I'm going mad not knowing. Only tell me, please, Nathaniel.
Truly, Clara. You'll believe what I tell you.
Haven't I always?
Scene 3, in the hotel room of Miss Zakharova, where she lies asleep in bed. Mrs. Hawking drops from the ceiling. Startling her awake. Briefly, Mrs. Hawking shakes out her wounded arm in pain.
Bonjour.
Hush, it's me.
Mrs. Hawking, why did you come?
You lied to me. You were seen backstage when you shouldn't have been dancing.
No, impossible.
If you want to keep my help, you ought not to lie to me again.
I worked so hard not to be seen.
What happened?
Please, you mustn't tell anyone. I promise there is no harm done.
Miss Zakharova rises from her bed, but immediately stumbles in pain.
My God, the laudanum concealed the extent of it before. But this is not a passing injury, is it? I see it now. You're breaking down.
No one must know.
Then tell me what happened.
It was in the pas de deux. That brute, the midway, is careless. I came down hard on my left and I felt it give beneath me.
So you changed places with another dancer?
I stumbled downstairs and found Julia, my understudy. She dances in the corner. I gave her my skirt and my veil and begged her to sit down.
What were you doing back in the dressing rooms?
I had to find Julia. Then I went for my medicine. And West tried not to speak if she noticed Julia in my place. But instead I found her lying there.
That's how you knew she'd been killed? When you saw her body there?
Do you not believe me?
This changes things.
It changes nothing with this.
You lied about her whereabouts in the vicinity when she died, and you didn't care for her plans to leave. Not with your own career at stake.
She was thinking only. She would not actually leave.
She had arranged for immigration papers in both your names.
But she never said. She knew I would not go.
Did she know about your condition?
That's why she thought I should leave. But I couldn't. She'd been in the talk for years, but I'd only just reached it. Do you know how the poor girls live? Servants are not driven so hard.
We found Miss Sergeyeva's visa. I am curious as to why we cannot find yours.
I don't have it. Search this place. I will not have it.
Because you would not leave.
I will not hurt Riza. I would never.
But you ran away and told no one when you saw her lying there.
I would have. After the performance, or else everyone would know I did not dance.
To save your career.
I have done nothing with the dance since I was a girl of 6. I have sacrificed so much. All I had to my name was my career and Riza. And now Riza is dead. Can you not understand? How could you? Your instrument has never betrayed you.
Miss Zakharova.
Look at you. To be able to climb like Viator, like Captain Tree. Like I was so impertinent as to ask Madam's age.
43.
43. I should have let to walk so long. I would do anything for the clean lines of your legs.
Nonsense.
Any dancer would. Mrs. Hawking, the ballet is my one calling, and in perfecting it, I have ruined myself for it.
You ran away and you lied.
So that I might have it just a few moments longer. They will replace me in a breath. In my place, what would you have done?
That's the trouble. I might have done anything.
Scene 4. Nathaniel and Clara sit in their parlor, not looking at each other. And that's the long and short of it. I know how it sounds, but there it is. Please, Clara, say something. Scream at me, love. Call me a callous heel. Heave a vase at me if you like. Only please, say something.
What do you want, Nathaniel? You say your funny old aunt puts on a mask and breaks into houses and sticks miscreants with a knife, and you've been helping her do it? What do you mean for me to think?
Do you believe me?
I suppose if you meant to lie, there are 1,000 things you haven't easily. Heavens, it sounds like something from a Penny Dreadful.
God, I know. That's why I kept it from you for so long. It's so impossible, I didn't know how to put it into words.
Oh, come off that. You didn't want me to know because you didn't want to hear what I thought.
Clara,
How could you?
I should have told you.
Not only that, to let her go on with this madness and to help her with it, as if you hadn't everything in the world to lose.
It was the right thing to do.
The right thing. Playing at hero? It's the way of men, isn't it? Marching off to war when duty calls, but you're not a soldier, Nathaniel. Your year at Newcastle should have taught you that.
My place isn't in the line of fire.
Your place?
You see, I have some talent for getting people talking. I can find things out that make the difference between justice being done and a villain going free. All without a single blow being struck.
And if they discover why it is you're asking?
I'm good at it, Clara.
No one is perfect. If you're found out, what do you think might happen? If her enemies are as dangerous as you say, what would they do to your name in the city, to say nothing of risk to life and limb?
I can't let her face it all alone. Clara, don't you see what this means? She trusts me. After all this time, after everything I've done, she trusts me. I can't abandon her now.
Is this what this is about? Finally winning that woman's approval?
Blast her approval. What about her life and limb?
It's her choice to put herself at such risk. But what about the rest of us? If something should befall you, you have young children, Nathaniel. They can't choose this.
I would never let anything happen to them. And neither would Aunt Victoria.
And what about me? It's enough that you kept something like this from me. But if something happens to you, what am I to do? And what would you have left me to think? That it was some terrible twist of fate when in fact you were putting yourself in danger's way? Because I would never have known. Who would tell me, Aunt Victoria?
Mary would.
It is not Mary who would owe me that. It is not Mary that you do this for.
It isn't just for my aunt. I feel like I'm doing something fine. Something to the good of the world.
You cannot be the Colonel, Nathaniel.
I know.
He's the saddest man I ever met. It always troubled me that he wanted to be just like the saddest man I ever knew.
It isn't about that anymore.
And what?
It was hard to see when we found so happy. It's enough to make a man think that we might live in a fair world, but we don't. And not everyone is so blessed as we with such a home and family and fitting into our place in things. Those people have nowhere to turn, except for Aunt Victoria. After seeing that, why wouldn't I want to help and balance the scales? Why wouldn't I want to see that good done in the world? You asked how I could let it go on, how I couldn't stop it. I tried, Clara. As soon as I discovered it, I came down on her, God forgive me, to protect her, and because I didn't understand and didn't know what else to do. But it was wrong. She is so unhappy, Clara. You've seen it. Her life has been one bitter disappointment after the next, and the rage in her is terrible. But when that rage drives her to right those wrongs, all that bitterness, it's not for nothing anymore. I have to see that go on. She changes people's lives, darling. She saves them.
She can't really.
But she can, Clara. She is marvelous. You must believe that.
And what about your life? Does that matter any less?
She wouldn't let that happen.
No one is perfect, Nathaniel.
That's why she needs my help.
And when she no longer finds you useful, what will she do then? When it no longer serves her, will she protect you?
I believe in her.
The Colonel loved her too, Nathaniel. And look where that got him.
Scene 5. Mrs. Hawkins' party. Mrs. Hawkins and Mary confer.
I don't understand. Does this mean you believe it was Elena?
That laudanum addict has told more lies than anyone, and she was near enough when Risa died.
Oh, but the woman meant so much to her.
Not as much as her roles and her career. Risa knew Elena was on the decline, and if Risa left, she would have ruined them.
Was it makes no sense? Dead or gone, all of them would have suffered without him.
When passions run high, people don't always behave rationally.
Miss Sakharova brought us the case. If she hadn't, the police would have ruled it an accident without a second thought.
I know.
Then do you really believe she could have done it?
Our instruments are base ones, but they are all God gives us for the purpose. When faced with the breaking of them, nothing is beyond possibility. But possibility is not certainty. So much may hang upon the Vincent visa. Who else would have known about Rice's plans?
The bell rings. Again and again.
Good heavens, not now. Say I'm not home to visitors.
Mary answers the door. Mrs. Hawkins hurries to exit, but Clara pushes in first.
Oh, Mrs. Hawkins,
Forgive me, Mary, but I have pressing business with Aunt Victoria. Could you give us a moment?
Spare me, Clara, whatever it is, I don't have time.
No, madam, you will not dash off from me this time. Did you think I would not find out?
I beg your pardon.
Oh my God, I know you think I'm a shrew, Victoria, but surely I'm not a fool. How do you talk? No, I must have heard it half a dozen times now. That every respectable lady found herself in some trouble. There was they called it a society avenger, a ladies' champion of London. I'm not quite sure I ever believed it, but it's clear. Not only real, but my own queer old Aunt Victoria.
And are you terribly shocked?
Yes, I wouldn't have thought you'd lead the way for anyone besides yourself.
Well, it's no concern of yours.
It is, if you're going to involve my husband.
He came to me.
Of course he did. Anything that you won't keep pushing him away.
I tried to put him off. When he refused, damned if I wasn't going to see he could be of use to me.
And did you think I'd have nothing to say about this? You putting him in danger? To say nothing of having him keep it from me.
I will not justify myself.
I won't ask you to, but you'll answer to me all the same.
This is not for you.
You prefer I remain in whatever ignorance my husband chooses to leave me in? Not a chance. Madam, I should think you of all people could understand that. Now, Nathaniel says you help people. You save him.
Can you believe that of me?
I believe him, and he tells me he does well. He has a skill and a talent for the work, and he does it well.
Yes, he does.
When he speaks of it, his eyes light. He believes in it, I can see that.
And you would take that from him.
God, madam, do you think every marriage is as miserable as yours was? Of course I wouldn't, but I must be sure. As I said, madam, he wants to help you, and through you help others. But I must know, will you do right by him?
What?
When he is out there, putting himself at risk for you and for those you serve. If it should come that he needs your help, will you see to it that he has it? Even should he no longer be an asset to you, will you protect him?
Clara.
This is my advice. I will keep your secret. I will see that he remains by your side, but he comes home to his children.
And you have my word.
You will take care of him, or you will answer to me. And I am not afraid of you. So this case of yours, I gather it's about that Russian dancer, the one that died in the fire?
She didn't die in the fire, she was murdered. We're hunting her killer.
Murdered? How in the world did you learn that?
Investigation, of course.
I see. And are you making any progress?
We have been. But once we discovered our primary source of information had been lying to us all along, we stalled on whether she has motive for the crime after all.
Elena Zakharova. They spoke of her at the party for the company. Doesn't she stand a chance of becoming that prima ballerina now?
What?
Now that the last one is gone, she's the senior-most dancer. Isn't that something of a motive?
How could you possibly know that?
Why, gossip, of course.
My God. But she was on stage for at least some of the evening. Would the timing even work?
She turned away in frustration just as Nathaniel bursts in.
My God!
Nathaniel!
Darling, Auntie, I know you're upset with me, both of you, please.
Nathaniel, not now, we're working.
What? What's going on?
Mary, come here at once.
You heard it, dear. We're working.
Working? I was afraid you'd kill each other.
Nathaniel, we have a murder to solve. Make yourself useful and do not waste my time.
What is it? Is everything all right?
I have need of you, so stir yourselves. Make a space. We shall work this out if it kills us.
Mrs. Hawkins gestures for Mary and Nathaniel to move back the furniture. She sets the Victrola to playing the Viator, then stands at the center.
Here is what we know. I and Miss Sigalieva performing on the night I died. The first act ended at 8:45. The dancers cleared the stage, and I retired to the dressing room where I would be found. Our next act of significance. Lord Seacoast.
She points to Nathaniel.
Oh, I travel from my seat in the house and stride backstage where I make certain everyone sees me with my bouquet of roses on my way to your dressing room.
He approaches her, pantomiming the action.
What they do not see is that you also come bearing the visas with you, and hand them off to me with the roses, which I then find inside of the clock.
Not yet. The clock was stopped at 9:09. The interval ended after 15 minutes.
Right you are. For some reason, I waited.
Then I return to my seat where everyone witnesses me when the curtain rises at 9 sharp.
The second act opens. Where are our other players?
Mr. Chinovsky is in the wings, with a company of members in mind of the entrances. The corps of agents leading into the pas de deux, and Hansati re-enters.
But is she the Hansati everyone thinks?
She glances to Clara. She seizes Clara's shawl and wraps it around her head.
Miss Zakharova claims it was in the pas de deux that she injured herself and was forced to withdraw after that. Hansati wore a veil, which could have deceived the audience, but what about her partner in the role of Somerville?
She pushes Clara into Nathaniel, who holds her as if dancing.
She danced in his arms. To be so close he would have seen. He would have known if she hadn't bent herself.
Yes, he would have.
So that must have been true. Miss Zakharova struggles until her exit and then goes backstage to seek out her understudy in the corps, Miss Yulia Sherva.
She brings Mary forward.
Quick as she can, she pulls Miss Sherva into service, handing off her skirt and veil and praying no one notices a gap in the ranks of the temple dancers.
Clara takes off the shawl and gives it to Mary, who puts it on her own head.
By Hansard's next entrance, I'm dancing in her place, while Miss Zakharova returned to the dressing room alone without being seen.
But wait, before then, while the corps still dances, Chernovsky notes that Miss Sergeyeva is not yet in place for her next entrance, approximately 9:15 or so.
She gestures to Nathaniel, who takes Chernovsky's place.
Do I go back to look for her then?
Not yet. Not until just before Miss Sherva's first appearance as Hansard.
Mary steps center. Mrs. Hawking returns to Rice's place. She beckons for Clara to approach her as Miss Zakharova.
According to Elena, it was on this journey back that she had found Raisa, already dead, and then ran away to find a hiding place until the performance was over.
It was at that time that Chernovsky came back. He spotted Elena on her way out and she went to look for Liza.
Which drove him to set the fire to conceal his steps from the company. But he said the same thing Elena did, that Raisa was dead when he found him.
Don't you believe them?
I believe Chernovsky. Even if Miss Zakharova is lying, she wouldn't have said Raisa was dead if someone had killed her after she got there.
So if she died after 9:15, before this Chernovsky found her, Miss Zakharova was there within that time.
Between her exit when she was spotted backstage, that was very quick, and she's not moving fast.
Their argument had gone for days by then. It may not have taken much for things to turn ugly.
But I don't understand. Isn't this the woman who brought you the problem? Where's the sense in that?
Madam, you're right. It's been troubling me this whole case. As you told me, Mrs. Hawking, just because she could have done it isn't evidence that she did. I can't believe she would have come to us if she had this much to hide.
What else is there? We've exhausted every lead.
Well then, perhaps you've missed something. We never did manage to track down the missing visa, the one in Miss Zakharova's name. What if it was the motive after all?
These visas you mentioned, how do they work in Schwartz?
Clara, we don't have time to...
Raisa read the passage to stay in England for her and Lena. We think Raisa hid them in the post after she left from the North Sea coast, but the one in Elena's name never turned up.
She didn't put them away until 9:09, of which 20 minutes after she received them.
I suppose that is odd, but that was when the clock stopped.
And you think the killer stole the second one out of the clock?
Well, it's our basket.
Mary?
Raisa didn't stop the clock at 9 past. The killer did.
What?
Raisa wouldn't have waited to hide the papers. She would have done it right away. And she would have had time to restart the clock. But the murderer had only moments. Moments to kill Raisa, tear apart the room for the visa and make their escape. Raisa didn't die after 9:09. She died just before it.
During the pas de deux, when Elena couldn't have done it.
Mary, that's brilliant.
But who then? Who was backstage then?
Backstage. Not in the wings. Backstage.
What do you mean?
That was where she found Julia. Not in the wings with the rest of the corps who were moments away from an entrance. All the way backstage where the dressing rooms are.
She returns to her place as Raisa.
Miss Sergeyeva waits in her dressing room for Seacourse to come to her. His intentions have been rumored for weeks, so his presence is enough to arouse curiosity. He stays for the whole of the interval, leaving the visas, which Raisa hides straight away.
Nathaniel runs through Seacourse's track. Mrs. Hawking sends Mary and then Clara center.
The interval ends and the corps reopens things before making way for Elena in the pas de deux. As she ruins herself for her aunt, Yulia Sherva slips the ranks to see Raisa in the dressing room.
Mary approaches Mrs. Hawking.
Why? Because she wants the visa, of course. The rumors of Raisa staying at Seacourse had spread. Julia could have guessed she had some kind of plan. These call girls have it so hard she might have spent ages looking for a way out.
But Raisa meant it for Elena, and this was the work of a desperate woman.
Mary pantomimes raising her hands to Mrs. Hawking as if to kill her.
By Jove, that's it. Why, we have to catch her. If we can find the visa on the road, that we can prove it.
If she means to stay here, she'll have to disappear before they try to make her leave. They're departing in a day. There isn't much time.
We'll need to search her. Mary, you must break into her hotel room to search for the visa while I waylay her. Nathaniel, you help her get in if she needs it.
What? Are you mad? You can't.
I beg your pardon.
Madam, you're injured.
Do you take me for an amateur?
You can't operate while you're not at full capacity.
I have been operating. And I've laid you out where you stand.
Madam!
Enough of this nonsense, Mary. Come with me. We have work to do.
No, madam. Nathaniel's right. This won't work.
Do you two think me so fragile?
What if something goes wrong? What if the visa isn't there? Or what if you have to fight your way out again?
I can handle anything.
But you can't. That's why you're so frightened.
Mary!
Whatever extraordinary things you can do, you're not invincible.
Do you think I don't know that? That's why I need you.
I know what you want from me. To take your place and do all the things you do. But I can't.
Not yet. But you'll practice. Operations like this will teach you.
If I try to do things exactly the way you would, I'll fail.
Not if you work hard.
Yes! If I gave it every moment I have the way you do. But I can't.
Why do you say that?
Because I'm not you. And I never will be.
You said this was what you wanted.
More than anything, I want to do your work. But I can't do it your way.
Then what? What shall we do?
If she does have the visa, she means to make use of it. With the right means, we can draw her out to bring it along with her. If we catch her with it, she's ours.
And what is the right means?
Justin,
What?
I think I have known the occasion that would fit the bill, and it shall kill two birds with one stone. For the first time since he arrived, I know what to do with my brother.
Scene 6. At the train station. Nathaniel and Justin stand beside Justin's luggage.
It was kind of you to see me to the station, but you needn't stay. I am sure I can find my way onto a train from here.
Just thought I'd see one. After all, it's not often we can spend the time.
And here I thought you'd be glad to see the back of me.
After sowing all that discord with Clara, I can't imagine why.
You know I didn't mean any harm. Are you still upset with me?
You're my brother, Justin. I shall be upset with you until we're both dead.
Fair enough. So I suppose you're not going to tell me what all that at the party was all about.
Only if you tell me who Miss Chavez seems to be looking for.
He implicates Julie Sherman entering the valise. She hurries over to Justin.
What?
Mr. Hawking, I find you.
Miss Sherman, what brings you here?
I received a letter. I came first.
Forgive me, but a letter?
Yeah, the letter you sent to me asking for me to come, to meet you, to go with you.
Asking you to... I'm sorry, dear, but there's been some mistake.
I did not understand.
I'm afraid I didn't send it for you.
You did not, but I hid it right here. See, it says you sent it for me. I don't make a mistake. She produces the letter to Sherman.
Wait, miss. It is a mistake. A lot of mistakes were made, weren't there?
I beg pardon, sir?
Nathaniel, what's this? Remarkable. You do look a great deal like Miss Zamparova.
I look like all of them.
Miss Shiver, aren't you be making ready to leave with the company now?
I lead the company, sir.
Indeed. And how do you mean to stay in England? How do you make arrangements?
I don't know what you mean, sir. I must go. Enter Arthur, who approaches them.
Just one. Hello, officer. Can we help you?
Excuse me, but are you Miss Julia Sherman?
I am. What is this?
I'm afraid I can't let you go by unless I have a look at your papers.
Papers?
If you've got plans to stay in England.
All is in order.
All the same, miss, I've got to have a look.
Hopelessly, Miss Shriver hands them over.
Do you know these aren't in your name?
Cannot be, sir, it is mine.
The trouble is, miss, I know that these were last seen in the possession of Miss Rice Viator before she was murdered. I think you worked with the lady, didn't you? These documents disappeared right after she died. How did you happen to get a hold of them?
I knew no harm, I swear.
I think you'd best come along with me now, Miss Sherlock. My God, you cannot mean you're under arrest on suspicion of the murder of Miss Rice Viator.
He places her in manifest.
It was so easy for her. Prima ballerina, not like us. They work us like dogs, keep us worse, until we break in pieces like Elena. No chance for escape.
You stole their chances, miss.
I stole nothing. Elena would leave. But I must get out, I must.
Let's go, miss.
He looks to Nathaniel.
I suppose the little bird tipped you off too, then?
Only trying to help, Sergeant.
A rare one, even.
Barbara leads Miss Shriver away.
Please, only do not send me back. Let me stay. You don't understand how it is. I die there. I die.
Miss, it isn't up to us.
I must go back, please. Don't send me back, please.
Arthur pulls her off stage.
I say, Nathaniel, what in God's name was that?
A bad business, but it's done now.
That poor girl is a murderer.
I don't think she meant to be, but things ended just the same.
How well did you know?
When you talk to the right people, you hear the right things.
You mean at that party? All that nonsense? By Jove, look at you, little brother.
But enough of this. You have a train to catch.
I suppose I do. It was good to see you, Nathaniel. I hope you can return the sentiment.
I suppose you enliven my dull existence.
I hope so. Though clearly, I'm not the only one with stories to tell.
Oh, I don't know if it compares. After all, you dallied with a murderer.
Oh, heavens, I did. I should dine out on that story for months. Scene 7 in Mrs. Hawking's parlor. Mrs. Hawking, Mary, and Nathaniel are there with Miss Zakharova.
I don't understand. How could she?
She was desperate for an escape when she heard Riza had one.
Monsieur was prison in Siberia.
Her suffering was not so different from yours. It broke her faster, but the work wrecked you all in your own way.
Riza, she was strong. Still, things took her again. What am I to do?
It seemed you have a choice to make. You may continue your work with the ballet as long as the laudanum and your ladies will allow, or you may take advantage of the arrangements Miss Somerville made for you.
Without Riza, the dance is all I have left.
Miss Zakharova, she made it possible for you to have this chance. A chance for something else that won't cost you so much.
Still, even then, it will cost.
Miss Zakharova stands and curtsies to Mrs. Hawking. Mary shows her out.
I hope the truth brings her some peace, at least.
We've done as much as we can for that.
In that case, I'll be on my way home. My wife is waiting for me.
Ah, yes. And since you cannot keep your mouth shut, now we all have to answer to her.
Madam, I have learned better than to stand in the way of the women in this family. By the way, madam, thank you.
For what?
Clara told me.
None of them can ever hold their tongues.
What do you think Miss Zakharova will do?
Honestly,
She might move on, find herself a different life,
I think she will dance herself into a ruin.
because that's what you do in her place.
Perhaps. For the thing that meant most to me in the world.
And how are you feeling?
Old. Very old.
You'll heal. And even if you didn't, you're more than a strong man, Mrs. Hawking.
I am as I am. Take that for all in all. But whatever becomes of me, I have you now, and you'll carry on.
It won't always be as you imagined it.
That's already clear. But you'll manage, in your own way.
I accept it.
I know.
Very good, madam. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be at my half day.
She curtsies, then she puts on her cloak and exits out the front door. Mrs. Hawking reclines in her chair and takes up her book. End of Act 2.